Hello, thanks for purchasing one of our uRepair do-it-yourself kits. We prepared this video to help you go through the process of repairing your iPhone in an easy and safe way. All you have to do is follow the step-by-step instructions. So let's start by showing you how to open your device.
Hey, what's up guys? Today I will be showing you how to work on an iPhone 6G. First thing and foremost, you want to make sure that your workstation is properly organized and clean, and then you have the tools for the job. The tools that I will be using today are the ones that come inside of your kit, as well as the box itself. I will be using the box in order to keep track of all of my screws, so I don't lose them, so I don't mix them up. Inside of this box itself, I'm going to be creating groups. When I disassemble any part of the device, I'll be placing them on there. Now this first box, I will be using it for just the screws from the device, like the two on the bottom and the EMI shield inside. The second one, most likely, I will be using it for the screen. Now, here I have the replacement screen along with some decal to place on top of the broken one here in order to avoid injury, like cutting ourselves. Then here I have this replacement battery with some double-sided adhesive. Now, the first thing that we're going to do here is install the decal right above any cracks that you see here near the home button, since that's the area that we will be working around. So let's go ahead and remove the paper backing, place that aside, and again, we're going to be using the suction cup to place it around this area. So let's go ahead and place the decal around that area as well. Now, basically just run your finger along the top to try to create a bubble-free adhesive. And let's go ahead and see the tools that we'll be working with. Here we have a plastic spudger, a little cleaning cloth, our suction cup, then we have our set of screwdrivers, some tweezers, we have a little wedger, guitar pick, SIM card jack pin, and finally we have an alcohol wipe. Now, after we have installed this adhesive here, we're going to go ahead and, using our pentalip screwdriver, we're going to be removing the two screws located on each side of the actual lightning port. Now, let's go ahead and start. I like using my finger as leverage in order to avoid scratching the device itself. So let's go ahead and remove each screw and place them in our box. Like I said, we're going to create groups. Now these two screws are going to be grouped together, separated from any other group of screws that we'll be placing inside of the box. All right. Now let's move on to the suction cup. We're going to be placing the suction cup, like I said, above the home button. We're going to try to place it, shift it to the left side of the device, since we're going to be inserting the wedger on this side. Now, what we're going to do is basically, we're going to go ahead and, with constant force, we're going to pull on the suction cup to create this little gap that you see right here. And we're going to insert the wedger right there to pry it up. So it's going to look something like this. And then we have the wedger in there. Now you're going to go up the suction cup. So we're going to go ahead and pry the screen up. Now with your thumb, I'm going to go ahead and hold that little gap open as I move this to the opposite side and do the same. All right. So we have released the screen. We're going to go ahead and move it at a 90-degree angle to review our EMI shield, which is the shield right here. We're going to be working on it by removing 5 screws that you see right there. We're not going to be mixing the screws up at all, since we're going to be creating that group. And let me show you exactly what it is that I do in my box right here on my table. So I will remove every single screw from here, placing it on my table, creating the same map that you see inside of the phone, pretty much the same pattern of screws. So I remove the left one, now the right one, and then I do the same thing, left and right. I'm moving on to the middle one. And again, I'll be placing this one in the middle. And so on. Let's go ahead and move the top left. Alright, so another reason, guys, why I'm doing this on the table so you guys can see them is right now so you can see a difference in sizes for the screws themselves. Alright, now all the screws are not the same size, same length. You probably have 2 or 3 that are exactly the same, but still, you do not want to mix these up. We're trying to avoid that at all costs. If you were to install an incorrect screw in the different location, basically you risk damaging your motherboard. So as you can see, these 3 right here, they look very similar, okay? But still, this one is actually quite longer than the other 2. Now, this one is the longest one. That one, for a fact, you're not going to mix up with the other ones, but still, you want to keep that in mind. Now, that's a group of screws for me. Next step is placing the piece where they belong. So I will go ahead and place this right on top or right next to it, depending on your box. So this is one full group for me inside of my box. I tend to do this basically, like I said, to keep track of my screws. Now let's go ahead and place this in my box here with the screws in the same manner that I have them on the table. This is the easiest way to ensure that I won't be mixing any of these screws up. Okay, now moving on, we're going to go ahead and disconnect these connections here, these flexes that you see there. And I'm going to be using either the tip or the flat side of my spudger. I like using the flat side all the time, so I'm going to go ahead and just insert the corner of it right underneath the flexes. The first one we're going to disconnect will be the one on the right side, which is your home button. Go ahead and just insert that corner and give it a light twist, followed by this one, which is your front facing camera. Now, the flexes that you're going to encounter here, they're all going to basically have a little ledge on the left side that you have access to. So let's go ahead and disconnect them from the left, like so. Just kind of fold them out of the way and move on to the next one. This is the LCD one. And finally, we have our digitizer. All right. So basically, once you remove the connectors, you'll be able to remove your screen, leaving you with your bare LCD and your device to work on.
Alright, how are you doing so far? Once you've opened your phone, now you're ready for replacing the broken LCD screen for the new one. Oh, and don't forget that we can recycle your old screen. Just look inside your box and find the envelope that you can use for shipping your screen back to us at no cost. In exchange for that, you can even choose one free gift among the options, like a tempered glass protector or a car charger for your phone. Let's see now how to replace your broken screen.
Alright guys, so basically now that we have opened our device, we're going to go ahead and move on to disassembling the display and assembling the new one. So we're not going to be working on the device, so let's go ahead and remove this, place it aside, and let's start working on our display. Now on the display itself, we're going to be removing a few components, starting from the ear speaker, front facing camera, a few sensors up here, the home button, and basically all these shields that you see here. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is start from the top, work yourself to the bottom, and we have 3 screws up here. Make sure that you don't mix up any of the screws, as I will show you here. They're all different sizes. Basically, like the inside of the device, everything has different size screws. Something that you don't want to mix up, as you could damage your new display by installing an incorrect screw somewhere. So as you can see, all 3 screws are actually different size. We'll go place some on here so you can see them. There they are. Alright, so the screws are all different sizes. The two on the sides are, kind of almost the same length. Obviously, this one here is a bit longer, and the one in the middle is just longer than both of them. Now that we remove both of the screws, we're able to remove the shield from the device and create a small group. Now, this group is going to go inside of our box to keep track of everything, so we don't mix anything up, and to ensure that we're going to reinstall them in the appropriate location when we're reinstalling the new screen. Now, after you remove the shield, basically you're able to lift up the front-facing camera out of its location, and then you'll see that the ear speaker will also come with it. Now you see the ear speaker actually has this little oval shaped piece. It's going to go inside of this rubber gasket here, so ensure that that's properly placed when you reassemble the new screen. I'll place that aside. Like here on your original screens, basically this device has been repaired before. So on your original screen, you're going to have this little ring, which is a centering ring for your front-facing camera. Now that ring, we're going to be removing it. So basically you're just going to be inserting your flat end of the spudger onto this bottom portion here, and you're going to be prying it up in order to break that bond, and then you're going to be placing this aside. Now finally, up here you have some sensors. You have your proximity sensor and your light sensor. Now to disconnect these or pry them off, you're going to start from the right and basically just lift them up like so. On both of them, they're basically just held in by the pressure of the little rubber gaskets that they come with. As you can see, this one has a little rubber gasket, and then this one falls inside of a frame, which this screen didn't have. Now, our new screen, we're already going to have those parts installed on them, so you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Another thing about this is that it's actually adhered to the screen itself. Now we're going to go ahead and basically fold this upwards. Make sure that you don't damage any of the flexes. We're just going to fold them all together like so to reveal your microphone. Now your microphone is this little gold contact that you see here, but you want to make sure that you don't try to unglue this from its location. It's actually part of the full flex. So in order to remove this, what we're going to do is we're going to try to pry this out of the actual adhesive bond that it has. So let's go ahead and start from the little top corner and start prying this off like so. Then you have the full assembly for your front-facing camera. Like I said, a few sensors up here, which you have your light sensor, proximity sensor. Then you have your front-facing camera and the four contact points for your ear speaker, along with your front-facing microphone. Now let's go ahead and place this aside and move on to the bottom of the device. Alright, so our shield here, basically, in order to remove our shield, we have to remove the plate for your home button, since it has a screw holding both of them together. Now let's go ahead and remove the screws here for the full shield. So just remove all 3 screws. I tend to group them together as well, just to know that when I install these 2, the third one goes along with them. So basically, just like I said, create a little pattern with the screws to know which one goes where, and just place them in your box to avoid losing them. Okay, so the last screw for the shield for the home button, placing that aside. Now we'll go ahead and lift up the shield. As you can see, the shield itself has actually this little foam pad here, and then above this screw here, you have that little hole, which is to center it using this little alignment pin there. So when you reinstall this, the foam goes right on top of the connector for your home button, and the alignment pin falls into this little hole here, right there. place this aside. Now we're going to start working on our shield itself by removing all of the screws. So let's go ahead and remove the 3 on this side and the 3 on the opposite side. And that will pretty much conclude the screw removal for the screen. Now we will move on to removing your home button itself. Alright, so the screws on the screen, basically the ones that fall on the frame, the ones I'm removing right now, they're all the same size. You still don't want to mix them up. You don't want to mix up any of the screws. So basically just make sure that you follow your little map that you're creating. But again, if you do happen to mix any of these 6 screws up, you'll be okay. Don't have to really worry about those. Any other screw, it's crucial to ensure that you reinstall them in the appropriate location. Okay, so we're coming up to this last screw here. Make sure that you don't strip any of the screws, as if you do, a future repair will be extremely difficult. So now that we have basically removed all of the screws, we're going to move on to disconnecting the connector for your home button. So basically just using the tip or the flat side of your spudger, you're going to go ahead and pry this upwards. Okay. Like so, to break that bond. Now, this is actually held on with double-sided adhesive, so you want to make sure that you don't damage this flex at all. If you damage any portion of this flex, this home button itself, you will be basically losing your biometrics or fingerprint recognition. So make sure that you don't damage this at all. Be very gentle. It's very delicate, so be sure to basically not break it. Now let's go ahead and using our wedge, as it actually has the finest edge in our kit, we're going to start prying this away from the screen gently, breaking that bond. Now we'll go ahead and from the front of the screen, you're going to go ahead and press on the button to break the bond for the rubber gasket. And peeling it off. Now depending if your screen is badly broken at the bottom, you could have some glass residue on the adhesive that goes around this button. So you basically just brush it off to ensure that when you reinstall this on your new button, it creates a nice bond. I'll place this button aside. Now we're going to move on to removing this piece right here. Now, this little connector here is a flex that follows this little contour on the back of the shield. And this is actually adhered to the screen itself. So using the tip of your spudger, you're going to lift up this piece of tape here. Alright, like so. And then we're going to go ahead and use the flat side of our screwdriver. And we're going to insert it in between the screw. Where you install the screw and the flex itself, and we're going to be pushing this away. Lift up your plate as you push, just to make sure that you don't rip the flex, and that will break the bond. It's difficult using anything else, as if you try to pry this off, you could separate the actual flex from the shield that it has installed on the back. As you see, actually has a little metal shield. So you don't want to separate those, as you could actually damage the flex itself. So basically the easiest way is to do exactly as I did it. Okay, now the last thing on the screen will be up top. You have a little paper film. This little square here, as you can see, is it's also been replaced. Every black screen, the white ones not included, only the black screens have this little film there. So you have to transfer this onto your new screen. This is basically for your light sensor, and there's a little filter for it. So using, again, the flat end of your screwdriver, I'm going to basically press on it and you're gonna turn it to break the little bond that it has. And then we're gonna lift it up using our tweezers. First thing we're gonna do is install this onto our new screen. Okay. Let's move the old screen aside and let's place this one on the table. All right, so you're gonna be installing the little paper there, exactly in the same location that you removed it from. And then, like I was saying earlier, this little frame here that the old screen didn't actually have, as it was a replacement screen, you will be transferring it from your original screen as well. Now, let's go ahead and start assembling this screen. First, we're going to start by removing the anti-static film that it has on the back, placing that aside, and installing the shield. Now, you're going to hold this flex down, and you're going to place the shield on top of it, like that. And we're going to start basically reinstalling the screws on the sides so that we can hold this in place. Remember, there's 6 of them, and make sure you install them in the appropriate location. So I'm going to go ahead and follow that map that I created for myself inside of the box. Okay. Make sure that when you're tightening the screws, once you feel your screwdriver stop turning, you stop as well. You don't want to strip the heads of them, as basically, like I said, a future repair will be nearly impossible. Okay. So let's go ahead and install all 6 of these and then move on to installing the home button. Now, like I said earlier, guys, you don't want to install any incorrect screw anywhere. A lot of the screws might fit and they basically will screw on, but you risk damaging your new display that you just purchased to repair your phone. So let's try and not do that. Let's go ahead and place our home button here where it belongs. Now, you're going to drop this in place, same position or same manner that you removed it from your old display. Press that into the little gap that is created for. And then you're going to lower the button in place. Now, the little chips and all the resistors that you see here, they're going to basically point towards the left of the back of your screen, and then you're going to align it actually using the 2 little alignment pins that you see on there. Going to gently press on it, I'm not going to say literally press on all of this, but just gently press on it to re-adhere it to the back of your screen, and then guide this on top of the socket that you see there. Now, to better do this, use your finger to feel for the socket itself. Once you actually feel this, that it stops moving side to side, you could press it. You're going to feel that little light click. Then we're going to go ahead and install the actual back plate for this to secure the back shield here and get the home button out the way. Now remember, this little foam pad goes on top of the connector. It basically helps keep it in place and it doesn't get disconnected in case if you drop your phone or something like that. Now, using this little pin here, you're going to go ahead and align the shield. Once it's aligned, I'm going to go ahead and install the screw that holds both the back plate and the home button plate together. And make sure that you keep it aligned as you install the screw. Move on to installing the second screw for the shield here, home button shield. And finally, the third screw, which only holds down the rear shield for your LCD. All right. Now that we have finished basically the whole bottom of the screen, we're going to go ahead and move to the top. We're going to go ahead and install the front-facing camera and the rest of the components up here. Now, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you fold everything, keep everything in place, but you're just going to unfold the microphone. Make sure you have it nice and straight. Make sure you fold the flex itself though. The full flex, as you can see, actually has this fold right here, but then this one here, you're actually going to make sure that it's nice and straight. because it's going to be kind of difficult to install this if it's not. Now, holding all your flexes down, this actually has a little centering pin as well, and you can see a little cutout, a little circular cutout right above the microphone. So you're going to place it where it belongs, and you're going to align it using that little pin, like so. Okay, now after we do that, we're going to go ahead and fold this down. Now we're going to lift up the front-facing camera like this, hold it in that manner. Now we're going to lower the sensors in place. Now the cutouts for them are basically exact size, so when you place them in there, you'll feel they're going to stay in there like that. Now we're going to go ahead and install the ear speaker. This part of the repair itself is, I'm not going to say it's the easiest part. It's actually quite difficult to make sure that everything stays in place, as you have to hold like 3 or 4 different things at the same time. Go ahead and place your ear speaker in place. If you align it properly and you make sure that the little oval part that I mentioned earlier falls into this little contour gasket, this little plastic rubber gasket here, basically it's going to stay in place for you. You don't have to worry too much about it, but you still most likely are going to have to hold it down, as the flexes underneath sometimes try to push up on it. Now before we lower that camera, we're going to go ahead and install the centering bracket for it, the little ring, see-through ring on it. Lower the camera onto it or into it, and then holding the front-facing camera, you're going to ensure that this piece, which is the one that has the contact points for your ear speaker, is aligned properly. Now, it has cutouts on the sides. You're going to see 2 little circular cutouts on it, and then the rear of your ear speaker has pins on it to ensure that this is actually aligned properly. Now, once it's aligned properly, just hold it in place. Grab your shield. Try best to actually place both of them together. So I'm going to go ahead and do it like this. Basically just hold it there and then lower it like that. Now, this as well has the little cutouts. It's not to align it, because basically this is not what the cutouts are meant. It's basically for you to see through them that the flex underneath is properly aligned. If you don't see the pins coming through, or at least poking through it, then basically you have to remove this, realign it, and then place it on top. So ensure that the little pins, you're able to see them before you move on to reinstalling the screws. Now let's go ahead and install the first screw, which we're going to go ahead and install the one on the right, the one that holds the plate and the back plate for your LCD and the plate for your speaker. I'm not over tightening it. Now I'm going to go ahead and install the second one. Then I could let go of this. All right, so moving on to the final screw. Go ahead and ensure that everything is tight, that you feel that your screwdriver is no longer turning freely or without force. Ensure that the pins you're able to see them. Okay, everything looks good. All the screws are installed on both sides. Everything is properly aligned. Now we're going to flip the screen around, and we're going to make sure that our camera is properly centered. As you can see, this one, you see a little gray spot, like a little, on the bottom. Looks basically, I mean, you can see gray. That's basically what I could explain to you. You're going to go ahead and push your camera towards the gray. So from the back of your screen, you're going to go ahead and push it, and you're going to see it move. Make sure it is perfectly centered before you move on. All right, so almost there. This is basically the easiest part. All right, so there we go. Now, once you have reassembled everything, and you have centered your camera and everything looks good. Basically, you have successfully reinstalled or reassembled your display.
Well, your repair is almost done. All you need to do now is reassemble your phone. So, did you think the repair was too easy for you? Maybe you have a natural talent for that. How about making some money with this? Yes, you can do just like me and join the iExperts, a community of repair specialists. Want to know how? Visit www.becomeaniexpert.com and be welcome to your new future. Now, let's see the last part of this video.
Alright guys, so basically after finishing the repairs that we did on this device, we're ready to reassemble it. So let's go ahead and grab our screen. We're going to be placing this at a 90-degree angle on top of the device, like so. And we're going to go ahead and gently bend the flexes. You don't want to fold them here. You just kind of bend them out the way. So you could have each flex individually. Alright, so let's go ahead and connect the first connector. This first one here is basically your digitizer. So let's go ahead and feel for the socket. You're just going to basically put your finger on top of it and feel for it to stop moving. Once you actually feel or find that spot, then you're ready to connect it. You'll feel the click. Sometimes you might even hear it. Next is your LCD. Now, after you have connected the first one, most likely the second ones will kind of be mostly aligned as well. So again, or if they're not, it's still going to be easier to find the socket. Now this one, you're going to do the same. Put your finger on top of it and feel for that spot. And then gently press on it. Now you don't want to be pressing down on these connectors unless you're sure that they are properly aligned with the socket. If you press and press on them, constantly hoping that they're going to be connected, you're going to damage your sockets or the flex for this screen, and basically you're either going to need a new device or a new screen. So let's go ahead and make sure that you do this correctly so you don't damage anything. And finally, we're moving on to the front facing camera. The last one we connected was your home button. Alright, there we go. So we have all the flexes connected. Now I'm going to go ahead and rotate this device to install the shield on here. Basically, the shield is what protects these cables and it ensures that they all stay in place if you were to drop your device, pretty much. I mean, sometimes you do drop the device and these cables could come loose. So let's go ahead and just place a shield on top of this. You're going to have one or two of the bottom screws aligned properly and sitting on top of the motherboard. The other ones are basically being pushed away from the device by the flexes. So let's go ahead and follow that map that you created for yourself. And I'm going to go ahead and technically just pinch this screw here, leaving the head of it exposed and then aligning it onto the tip of the screwdriver. We're going to go ahead and install it. I'm not going to tighten it all the way, basically so I could move the shield freely and ensure that it's properly aligned. Now, when I install the second screw and I know for a fact that everything is aligned properly, I'm gonna go ahead and return to the first one, finish tightening it, and then moving on to the rest. Now, let's move on to the middle screw here. Alright, so again, whenever you're tightening any screws here, whenever you feel the screwdriver stops turning, then you're done. Now remember when I spoke about the screws all being different lengths. Now, you don't want to mix up any of the screws. If you were to mix up any of the screws, you could potentially damage your motherboard, and basically your motherboard is your device itself. So let's go ahead and avoid any damage to this device. Okay, so now that we have reassembled the shield here, we're going to go ahead and lower the display into position. Okay, but before I do that, let me go ahead and use that little alcohol wipe that I had earlier and wipe up any of our fingerprints to make sure that we have a clean device here. Alright, so let's go ahead and lower the display. Basically, you have some little clips, but they're more like little hooks type thing. If you see them there, there are these, you have 4 in total, if I'm not wrong. You have this long one here, then you have the one here, then you have one on each corner. This basically is what holds the top of your device in place. So I've seen a lot of repairs done incorrectly where they just press down on this, basically just aligning the screen with the frame, and you damage those. Now what that causes is for the top of your display to be propping up. You don't want this. Basically, you want to ensure that your screen sits there flush with your frame. So there is a proper way of installing this. So you're going to go ahead and in an angle, you're going to basically lower your display into position until you feel and see that everything is aligned properly. Now we're going to go ahead and holding that in place. I'm going to go ahead and lower the rest of the screen into position. I'm using my thumb here to basically lower it as I'm putting pressure toward the top of the display. And with my thumb, I'm going to go ahead and press on the side clips on both sides. And you don't have to basically force this to be inserted. As you saw, that was extremely easy. So now I'm going to go ahead and reinstall both of the pentalobe screws on the bottom. Once you install both of the screws, basically this concludes your repair. So let's go ahead and place both of them in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and place my finger over them like so. I'm going to basically cover them. And I'm going to go ahead and move my finger away with the screwdriver in order to avoid scratching the device and to ensure that I'm aligning the screwdriver and the screw properly. Now again, don't over tighten the screws, especially these, as these are the ones that you have to remove to gain access to your device. Alright, there we go. So we have reinstalled both of the screws on there. Now we're going to go ahead and boot the device to ensure that everything is working properly. What you're looking for is basically for your digitizer. Your digitizer, you're going to hold on an application and then you're going to glide it across your whole display to make sure that that application follows your finger. If it doesn't, then make sure that you didn't just let go by mistake. So basically, you're going to grab an application, hold it down until you start jiggling, and then you're going to basically just do it all over your screen to make sure, you see, I let go by mistake, to make sure that it follows every step of the way. Now, if it doesn't, and you didn't drop it by mistake, then you're going to basically go back into the device, and then you're going to ensure that your connections were done properly. Now, if everything was done properly, your display is looking nice, and your digitizer is working properly, then you have successfully done the repair for your iPhone 6G. Well, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you.